Public and CRB members, we have a quorum, so I'm opening the meeting at 5:31 for members of the public. If you haven't been here before, we take typically about an hour for our public session, and we try by 6:30 to open for public comments. Members of the public are asked to keep their comments or questions to 5 minutes or less, and I'm going to remind board members and members of the public that you need to be recognized in order to speak. Members of the public can speak during public comment time, and board members are welcome to raise their hand and be recognized anytime during the board meeting. So, first action item, approval of our March meeting minutes. Everybody have a chance to look at them? They were emailed out today. Any comments or questions about the March meeting minutes? Do we have a motion to approve? Ruth to approve, second. Cliff? Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Chairperson's report. We had a common council meeting. I think maybe it was right before our last meeting, because I think we talked about it at our last meeting. Was that about the body-worn cameras?
Yes.
It's in the minutes from last meeting, so we already covered that one. Renette and I did a presentation to Thursday Morning Roundtable on March 14th. We had an hour, and we did a presentation on the history and development of the CRB and how we operate. There were probably 60 people there. The chief was there, a couple common councilors, quite a few members of the public, and we thought it went pretty well, and I suggest you get some popcorn and pull it up on your screen and watch us. It's a good show. Board development and training. We had our first session was at March 30th for the large session, and then we had last week a makeup session with the two people who couldn't make it. My feeling was that they were both very worthwhile. I think we got a lot out of it, and I'm going to ask, we had initially talked with Interfaith Works about doing 2 sessions with us, not counting the makeup session. So I'm going to send out an email tomorrow asking everyone to respond, and the dates would be May 4th, 11th, and I think it's 21st. Whatever. There are 3 Saturdays in May, not counting the 18th, I think, or 15th, whatever it is. So I'll send that out tomorrow. We'll go for like a 2 or 2.5 hour session this time, not a full day one.
You said May 4th?
It's the 3 Saturdays, and not counting the, I think, 15th or 18th, whatever that is. But I'll send it out tomorrow with the specific dates. So if you could all respond to that, we'll try to schedule that. We have an upcoming budget meeting with the council on April 22nd at 3:30 p.m. Anybody that can make it, it would be appreciated. It's a good opportunity for us to speak before the Common Council. Mr. Reynolds.
Is that held here in the Common Council?
It is.
It is, okay.
Yeah, like all Common Council meetings.
Are you going to send an email out on that?
Yeah, we'll send a reminder for that. And last year we came, and there's an opportunity to bring up a few other little things with the Public Safety Committee. I've said before that I'm going to ask the Public Safety Committee to schedule a session for the CRB. My intention is to wait a little bit on that and not push them at this time, but before long we'll ask them to schedule a public session to review with us, and a good reason for it will be to review the 2018 report, which Renette is working on, and that'll give us an opportunity to bring up any other issues that we have. So we'll look for a good time to push that issue and ask them to schedule that. We have a board member, a prospective board member whose name is going to the Common Council next week. So we expect that before our next meeting, we'll have our final empty slot filled.
You said by next week?
Next week is a Common Council meeting at which we expect this person to be approved. So she'll just need to get sworn in, and she'll be able to come as a full board member. So we will have a full board. That's everything that I have in less than 10 minutes. Administrator's report.
All right, as you can see in your folder, for the complaints that we've received so far, we have a total of 23. We actually have more than that, but currently we have 23 complaints that we received. So in March we received 6, February we received 6, and January we received 11 complaints. So that's where we are with regard to that. You can see that there's still a breakdown on the bottom of the sheet with regard to where we are compared to where we were last year. It seems to be that January is usually a hot month for us, and February, middle of the road, so we're right on pace as of right now. In terms of, we'll be reviewing 2 cases in executive session for the board to vote on. They are cases that were filed. One was filed in 2018 and one was filed in 2019 that we will be reviewing. In terms of the monthly financial report, you'll see in the green our monthly financial report and what has been paid out. We did pay out the Bousquet Holstein bill. To answer your question, Lori, the rate did go up, and that was the change from the 275, I think it was, to 300. It was because the attorney's rate went up. Okay, so I did ask that question. So you can see in there, you know, how much we've paid for those bills. In terms of the 2018 annual report, as Peter mentioned, I'm working on the 2018 annual report and making sure our numbers are accurate, and it's taking a little bit of time making sure the list is correct because we want to give proper information. And Peter and I discussed the 2018 annual report, and we will focus solely on what is required for us inside the ordinance to produce to the public and see, because right now I think our report is usually pretty lengthy, and we provide all the previous year's recommendations at the end of the report, and we've been providing those since 2013. So this year's report, we are going to only provide what's required by the ordinance and not attach that addendum or appendix with all of that rest of that information. So the report probably will be like 25 pages long, and that's usually kind of standard. And then I look to try to do some, then our quarterly report for 2019 will be due by the end of this month as well. And so looking at those kind of things and looking to update some of the special reports and monthly reports that we've done in the past. So looking at all of that information to give the public more information as to what the CRB is doing. We continue to have 2017 cases outstanding from the Office of Professional Standards, 2018 cases outstanding from the Office of Professional Standards, and 2019 cases that are outstanding from the Office of Professional Standards.
What's the total number of cases there, do you know?
The total number of cases?
That are outstanding.
So 23 for 2017, 48 for 2018, and I think at the time we had about 19 so now we have, because you got to think about it, we get a case and they have 30 days to respond to it. So those cases that were received in January, when we didn't get a report from them in February, they're technically outstanding. 48 and 23, what are we close to?
71.
71, somewhere around in there. is the number of outstanding cases. I have been in contact with the chief of police, as we've stated in the previous meeting, basically advising him as to what is outstanding, and he has agreed to work with the Office of Professional Standards to get them up to speed, and so that's where we are continually with regard to that. There was a common council session in which the police department talked about overtime, in which I attended, and they gave some statistical information with regard to the SPD's makeup. Since that was covered by YouTube, just like this one is, you can go on that particular date, which was March the 20th, and review that information, and it gave a breakdown with regard to that. So I would encourage you to watch that video and listen to the statistics that he provides with regard to overtime, the number of officers that we currently have, the number of vacancies, you know, things of that nature. It does appear that the chief is working on trying to reduce the amount of overtime that is occurring, but we still have work to do with regard to that. In terms of the CRB is going to be able to make a presentation to the new recruit class that's coming up. I believe the new recruit class begins May 21st, I believe it is, and we'll be able to do a presentation straight to the new recruit class. And as soon as I finalize the time and things of that nature, I'll let the board members know with regard to that. But we have been given the okay to give a presentation to the new recruits, which was something that we were concerned about before, and making sure the new recruits can hear it from the board members or myself and Peter, however we decide to work it, as to what the CRB is, instead of hearing it from other people. So that, I think, is a big step in the right direction.
Correct.
I'd like to be included in that if possible.
We'll discuss that.
Thank you. Please.
You mean in the presentation?
Yes, yes.
So we'll discuss that in more detail thereafter.
Okay.
And then I'd like to draw everyone's attention to the calendar with regard to some outreach events that we're going. I just want to mention it, so take that out and look at that, because that'll go with regard to our activity report. We have received some requests to do some things and out in the community. So coming up on, and this shows the activity that I've kind of been doing to make sure that we promote the CRB, and others have been reaching out. So we're going to do a presentation to the Shawano Street Boys and Girls Club this coming Tuesday, in which we'll have conversations, because there were some concerns that happened in the community, and we want to address them with the younger children. And as we talked about before, we wanted to start hitting the students, the young men, the young women, before school let out, because we know typically in the summertime that's when things start happening. So I think that we're right at a good start to start talking about that in April, and reschedule some more so we can have some monthly or quarterly, or however it goes. The CRB has an opportunity to table at Dunbar Center this coming Thursday. The Youth Substance Abuse Prevention is having what's considered to be a hidden mischief, and that's a very interesting event to go to. So I would encourage you to come out and go. Even if you're, just board members, we don't have to have everybody sitting at the table, but it's definitely productive for you as community members to see a hidden mischief room. And I'll just leave it at that, because if I talk more about it, it'll ruin it. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. I attended the YSAP meeting this morning, learned more information about that. So we have that on our agenda. Also, we have the Youth Symposium, which is coming up on April the 27th, and it's going to be at on SU's campus, and we'll be doing a table at that event. And at that event, I intend to use it as an opportunity to have youth to sign up if they want to be part of the youth kind of advisory board that we would like to start up, I don't know if we're calling it the Youth Advisory Board, we're calling it the Youth Board, you know, with regard to the CRB, but we're gonna use that as an opportunity for the youth to sign up if they're interested and kind of tell us what they would be interested in the CRB assisting them with or providing them with information about. My intern will be at that event as well. She's an SU student, so she'll be at that event and she'll be helping because that's part of her research that she's doing for our department, is looking up information with regard to youth boards and things of that nature. So that will conclude my part of the report for what activity we have going on.
I forgot to introduce someone.
Okay.
We have our new office secretary attending the meeting. This is Mattia Donzo. Welcome her to the CRB. She's been working for a couple weeks now, right? We're glad to have the help. Any questions for the administrator? A comment on some things you said about the ops reports. I think it's a really positive sign that the chief has made commitments to have the Office of Professional Standards catch up on the cases that we have not gotten reports on. He has made that commitment, and we're looking forward to that. He's also made a commitment to restart the Police Liaison Committee so that we would be meeting with some regularity with members of the police department, of members of the leadership of the police department. And I can foresee that being a productive relationship. The board members, and I think we had on the table last time, we have a summary of the recommendations that the CRB has made over the last several years, which we'd like to get on the website. I don't think we have that there yet, but we've summarized the recommendations. We have a couple additional recommendations that we're putting in the 2018 report. The two that are in the summary that were not in previous reports have to do with body-worn cameras and
SROs.
mental health, dealing with issues with mental health. And the third one that we're adding to the annual report for 2018 is better training and supervision for school resource officers. So those will be new recommendations. And as we include those, what we'll want to do is be able to check in regularly with the police department. There may be some of those 2 pages of recommendations that they've done something about that we don't know. We just need to update with them what's happening with any of our recommendations to make sure that they're aware of them and to be able to follow up with them. So we're feeling very optimistic about some of the things that the chief is doing, and we hope that'll have an effect.
Just a quick thing to add in with regard to the Police Liaison Committee. Because they're starting a new recruit class, one of the members of the Police Liaison Committee has to be involved with that new recruit class, which is kind of holding up the scheduling of when we'll have our first kind of conversation with them. So I just wanted to point that out. Since the new recruit class is coming in, he has to do a lot of things with regard to that in terms of polygraphs and things, so which is kind of holding it up a little bit. So I just want to give you a little bit of an update. But I have been in constant contact as to some dates that we would be able to get together, and as soon as we can get together and have our first face-to-face meeting and kind of hash out what's going on, then we'll bring the committee in. That is part of the Police Relations Committee for the CRB. Then we'll bring them in after we have our initial meeting, so we can kind of get our feet wet first, and then we'll start to have our quarterly meetings, just so we're all on the same page. Okay. All right.
Okay, committee reports, community outreach and public education.
So inside your folders, you'll see that we did receive one more quote from the GNL Printing. They reduced the price on the screen printing. I am going to reach out to Ward Printing. They do some t-shirt printing as well. And if anybody has some time that they have available, so I can continue to work on the 2018 report to kind of gather that information, I can send you the sheets with what we would like to put on there, and I can email it to you. If you have a little bit of time, that would be helpful. Okay, thank you, Lori. Because I'm trying to get that out there. In terms of the bus signs,
Are all of these printing places in the city of Syracuse?
yes. Yep, and that's,
There's another one on Fayette Street that's a
okay,
pretty good one.
what's the name of that one?
You know, I don't know.
Okay, but this one Fayette?
It's at the corner of Fayette and Geddes.
Okay,
It's in a, it looks like a warehouse,
okay,
but they do a pretty good job.
okay. That's what we're trying to make sure that we utilize the money inside the community or with a community group that we know that it's going to go back to. And that's why the prices are a little bit higher than what we would typically spend, but that is our goal. As I mentioned before, GNL Printing is through the Good Life Foundation, and they were going to hire youth to be able to print these shirts, and it was going to give them summer employment and things of that nature, and that's one of the keys that I think we should be reaching back to the community and utilizing people that do give back to the community or have given back to the community. I think it's important. So we're still working on getting a lower quote, but they did reduce it by a good amount.
I'll stop over there if you want.
Okay.
And I'll let you know.
Thank you. And I did hear that, I think that if we change the wording on the t-shirt, this is what I heard, I'm not really sure, but if you change the wording on the t-shirt from white ink to a different color, it makes the amount go down. But I'm not sure, but that's what I kind of heard. But so if we can kind of check those avenues as well and see how, you know, we have the gist of what we want on it, but it doesn't really matter what the color of the wording is and what color is the I do prefer that the t-shirt be something that can't fade as much, so like a gray or something of that nature, just so washer friendly. And then I wanted to mention that we walked in the White Ribbon campaign for Vera House with regard to no excuse for abuse, and that was a good opportunity for us to get out there with our banner and things of that nature. So that was something that we did. In terms of the bus signs, I know that we talked previously, I know it's not on the agenda, but it's on my notes, that we talked previously about getting those bus ads back up on the bus, and we need to really do that. We have the money in the budget, and again, we need to utilize what funds we need to. So I have the printouts that we have before. If I can work with some, can work with somebody with regard to that, so we can reach back out, so we can get those ads running in the summertime as well, that would be to our best advantage as well.
What you need them to do?
Well, we just need to we need to look at it. We talked about using the same sign that we have on the door and the same sign that we use at every event. It's just making sure that we can get that and to renew the pricing with regard to it and see if we want to have more interior signs opposed to exterior. And I think interior is great. You know, and I know that we had about $5,000, I think it was $5,500 or something around in there to utilize. I don't know if we just want to do, you know, a few inside bus signs and then see if we could get a billboard or something of that nature. What would be the difference in the pricing on the back of the bus, you know, opposed to that. So we need to look into that. So if we can have a group to, you know, assist me with regard to that, that would be
Mr.
great.
Reynolds, question? Are you volunteering to be on the Community Outreach Committee?
Talking to you.
Oh, well, that's not it, huh?
The answer to your question is no. My question is, does the city have a color? I mean, some states, our state color is
Yes,
blue
and
and gold.
the colors that we pick, the colors that are on the old bus sign that we have are the correct colors.
And what are they?
They're like that green and that blue, which is what we already have, that's on the sign. I know our seal is gold, but that doesn't always come out great on a t-shirt or anything, but like that blue, that green are kind of there. So, and they have, when I went to a training session with regard to media relations and things of that nature, they talked about those colors, and they have a way that we can look at that again further if we want to play with the colors. But yeah, the sign colors that we have right now, that blue and green, are appropriate. So, think that is it.
While we're talking about committees, could you work with Mattia and come up with a new list of who's on what committee
Yes.
in the next couple of weeks, so we see what.
And we'll
blanks-
add Dan to a
Yeah,
few,
we'll pull Dan.
that, he wants to be on.
He wants to be on all of them.
I object.
Okay. Yes, we'll work on that, and, thank you, Lori, for volunteering. I really appreciate it.
Why don't you, is there a list of our committees someplace?
There is a list.
May I get a copy of the list?
Absolutely.
And then I will pick up the committees that I.
Send one around, and,
I will send what we have
Okay.
currently. Okay.
okay, so board development and training, did you finish? Did you talk about? what
Yeah, we
you're
talked
doing?
about that already too, so we can move to government relations, which I think we talked about too. And we talked about the police liaison committee, so I think we're rocking and rolling. CRB study.
Hi, everyone. It's Teresa. So it's April 4th. I have to defend my dissertation in 2.5 weeks. I'm kind of not counting the days because it's scary. I'm not really doing any active data collection on the CRB proper, but working with SPARC, the Syracuse Police Accountability and Reform Coalition, to run another educational forum. This one will feature Citizens United Against Police Brutality, the original kind of first collective group that we can think of from the 1970s who helped to start the conversation of police oversight in Syracuse. It will feature Dennis Collins, who was 19 at the time that he was beaten by SPD, and his mother and his sister and a few other community members talking about what happened in 1979, talking about really drawing connections because he was taking pictures of SPD committing abuse of citizens. So he's going to talk about the significance of that moment at 19 taking pictures to the conversation today that you all are talking about why we need body cams and what we hope to be able to gain from having the footage. So he's going to say it was really important that the community had footage to document what the community saw and draw connections to why the community today needs that footage. In addition, why we hope as a community, why you all have immediate access to that footage. So that's one thing. It's not totally CRB, but it's related. And then the second thing is that I will present next week in Atlanta a little piece of the dissertation on the role of municipal government and citizen oversight. So it's a little bit about you, and that will be, next week in Atlanta. And then I defend, and then I'll start asking you more questions, and then it'll be summertime. But if you have questions for me, let me know.
Good luck on your defense.
Thank you.
Teresa, has SPARC finalized a date for that forum? I don't know if you said that.
It's being narrowed down to June 1st. It was between June 1st or June 8th, but the library where we like to have these things on Salina isn't, it's not available on the 8th, so it's probably going to be June 1st.
Thank you.
And Kevin was working on that for us because he's wonderful.
So, I think that concludes all the,
One community organization.
we have a community organization who would like to speak.
Did
Mustafa,
you-
do you have a question?
No, I'll wait till community comments.
From M. Blanca, did you want to introduce yourself to us? I know or would you like to?
It doesn't, so I can just stand. So I'm Denise Welch, and I'm the senior program.
Would you come up to the mic, because we're being recorded on video, so we need to use the mics. Thank you.
Okay, so good evening. I'm Denise Welch, and I'm the senior program coordinator for the National Black Leadership Commission on AIDS. And we're a national organization located with offices in 9 cities across the United States, and just trying to connect a little bit more with Renette and the Citizen Review Board, and to connect our community programming with some of the things you all are doing. So I wanted to come in and listen this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so let's open for public comment. We're early, but that's okay. Sorry? Yeah. So for public comment, we have a 5-minute maximum. If you are asking questions and the board takes some time to respond to your question, we'll try to add a little bit of additional time. but we will stick pretty close to the 5 minutes. Mr. Ryans is our official timekeeper, so he'll be keeping time, and we'll give you a warning when your time is almost up.
Yes, my name is
Please
Mustafa.
start by giving your name.
My name is Mustafa. I want to speak about the signs. That's all I got to talk about. I think the signs on the buses would be good, like they was before. They wasn't put on every bus. It was like certain bus routes. They may have one bus going to each route that they put it on, 1 or 2 buses like that. And then I think a big poster on the stops, on certain stops, would be good, or inside the HUD, a big poster like that. I don't think it really would be good to put it on the back of the bus or the side of the bus. I think it would be on the bus or on every other, like stop, or inside the HUD, one sign like that. But I think those would be the 2 best, things. And I'm saying if you might find it somewhere in the office where it's, Joey had went around and checked, I think it's go all the way to like, when you go into Camillus in front of the in front of the academy, like that. I think that was the last stop inside of Syracuse. But we had checked it out all in the city and where we was gonna get it, but they never got the opportunity to put up the big signs.
Okay.
So that's what I would,
So when you say on the bus, you mean inside?
Yes,
or
inside the bus, because there's a lot of space on the bus. That's why the signs was up so long, because there's no real big rush. You got a lot of space on there.
Okay.
So that's the reason why I'm saying that it'd be best on the sign, because maybe we might be able to stretch it long like we did last time.
Okay.
And then on the stops, the big sign, that would be real, where people driving past and they see CRB signs and so on like that. That would be nice.
Okay. Thank you, Mustafa.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from members of the public? Okay, we can,
Sure.
I spoke to Yusuf Abdul Qadir from NYCLU, and he said he was gonna try to get here at 6:30 for public comment, but I think we need to adjourn to executive session, and if he comes in, we can try to reconvene or something. We'll be in the other room, right? We're gonna have
Yeah,
to
we're gonna
there.
go to another room. Right. We're gonna move to
Right, we
another
can't
room.
meet here, so I'll give him a call and see if he can catch up with us. I think our cases are likely to be pretty quick tonight, anyway. Okay, take a motion to adjourn to executive session.
So
Mr.
moved.
Grinnells, second.
I second.
Priscilla, okay, so all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, we'll be adjourning to executive session to discuss cases which will, we have to protect identities of people involved in the cases. So thank you all for